Hello again. I wonder if anybody else can see yet where the next big wave of immigration will be coming from and how the British government will enable it to happen. The thumbnail to this video shows the RAF helping British people leave Sudan. The BBC has successfully put pressure on the British government to allow Sudanese citizens also to be evacuated and brought to this country. If I obtain a work permit allowing me to work in somebody else's country, that does not mean that the country is responsible for me if I return to my own country. For instance, I had at one time a work permit in Israel. While I had that work permit, I returned to Britain to visit my family. Did Israel have any responsibility for me when I was back in my own country? I don't think so. If I found myself unable to return to Israel to carry on with my job, might I reasonably have expected the Israeli Air Force to fly me back to Israel so I could be sure that I wasn't late for work? Put like that, of course, it sounds utterly mad, and I dare say that viewers are chuckling at such a bizarre perspective. Yes, it is funny, but of course that's precisely the line which is now being taken with Britain's apparent responsibilities. There are Sudanese doctors in Sudan who have work permits enabling them to work legally in this country. A few days ago, the BBC published a piece in which one of these doctors said that he felt betrayed by Britain. I give a link to it in the description to this video, and the headline reads, "Sudanese NHS doctor betrayed after being refused entry onto evacuation flight to UK." This is exactly the situation which I mentioned in connection with my own work permit many years ago. Here is a man who has a work permit allowing him to work in this country, and he is currently in his own country and thinks that it is the duty of the Royal Air Force to bring him here so that he won't be late for work on Tuesday morning. I'm honestly not making this up. Just read the article. We read, Sudanese-born Dr. Abdul Rahman Babakar is due back on shift as a registrar at the Manchester Royal Infirmary on Tuesday. He's not just Sudanese-born, he is Sudanese. He says that he feels betrayed and has spoken to his MP. Well, I have some news for him. He doesn't have an MP in this country. He's a foreigner. He's not qualified to vote in this country, and so the MP is not his at all. It now transpires that the British government has changed its mind and is flying this fellow back to Britain so that he can be on time for work on Tuesday. I give a link to the BBC's updated piece about him, but it seems that even though the RAF have now flown him to safety, he still feels let down. You want to know why? Let me quote the BBC piece. After he landed in Cyprus, he said he had mixed feelings, saying, "I'm happy I'm finally in a safe place away from a war and on my way back to the UK. At the same time, I feel down that my family, my dad, mum, brother and sister are still endangered by the deadly fighting in my country." Well now, if my father and mother and siblings were endangered by fighting in my own country, I rather think I'd stay to look after them, instead of moaning because the RAF wouldn't help me to abandon them. Already, hundreds of thousands of refugees are fleeing Sudan, and it's a matter of time before we are urged on humanitarian grounds to accept some of them. Pressure is already building on the British government to give refuge to the families of those people who have work permits and are working in this country. Mark my words, the first step will be for us to allow the families of such people to join them. Prepare for the next surge of immigration from Africa.